We are back. Hi, everybody. I'm Abby Heckyard. Every morning I type in the little comments area, "Hi, everyone, welcome back." And then I discovered that I actually can't post it until I've gone live. So just give me one quick second. I'm just going to toggle down here, and I'm going to do that. And then there it is. All right. So if you're just joining me for the very first time, thank you. Thank you for making the decision. So over here and behind me is an outfit I wore, a costume I wore many years ago for a television series that I said yes to, having no idea what would happen. Called "You Can't Do That on Television," and they asked me to join the show to play a mom. And I had a long talk with the costume people and the hair people, and I said, I really want to come up with something that hasn't been used before. Costume department at CJOH was incredible. Hair, makeup, everything incredible. But I wanted something that nobody'd seen because we were creating something that nobody had ever seen. And so I went to all the thrift stores and the secondhand stores and this the Salvation Army and everything I could find. And then lo and behold, I found the dress, and I put it on, and I thought, well, that's that's really quite remarkably awful. I'll take it. And then a couple of weeks later, I found the apron, and I was looking at the apron in this little store, and I thought, what are the chances those polka dots are the same size? Like, I'm wondering, like, would that work? That looked like we meant to do that. And I bought it. It was, I don't know, cheap. It was a little, almost like one of those dollar store things. I took it home. Perfect match. Ta-da. So I took the outfit in, and everybody blinked and laughed very hard. And then a couple of weeks later, I went to a girlfriend had an incredible retro clothing store. And in the window on the mannequin, that hair, that mom hair that we all remember. And I walked in and I said, I need to buy the wig. And she said, you can't buy the wig. It's on the mannequin. I said, here, let me explain this to you. I need the wig. And she sold it to me. And I showed up and I plopped it on my head, and everybody said, oh, perfect, perfect, perfect. Because it was similar and not similar, and reminiscent and not reminiscent, and it reminded and it didn't. However, it set up all of the right stuff, and what is really quite wonderful, for those of you who didn't know, when they created The Simpsons, when the creator contacted Roger and said, "Just want to make sure that everybody understands that this is an act of homage, not a theft." He showed the drawings, and it was very clear that he had taken Valerie Prevert as a template for Marge Simpson, and I was really honored. I said, okay, in fact, we have created something here. In fact, we are setting something on a blank sheet of paper, and I get to do whatever I feel is the right thing to do with her. And that, how exciting to take the first steps on a path. It's nothing like it. Same thing happened with the Care Bears when they came to us and said, we're doing Care Bears, and we'd like you to look at the characters, because no one has ever voiced them. We've written out who that we think they are and what their personalities are, and we want to make sure that we build a kind of a family that works. And what an honor that we all got to sit, the voice actors with the director, with the producer, with the sponsors, to discuss where we would be going with that. And the actors, we were a very close-knit group. It wasn't that many. It was only six, or I think six. First, at the very first there were six, and then there were 10 bears. That's it. And the caretaker, of course. And every single one of those actors was a very close friend of mine. We talked about the characters, and we talked about how we wanted to bring them to life. It is an extraordinary opportunity to be able to say, I did it first. It's rare. Good morning, Freddie. Nice to see you. It is an extraordinary opportunity to be able to say, this is mine. I set this in motion. I own this. And forever, I did 2 weekends ago, I did one of the live fan events, and I had people coming, and oh, I love this bear and I love that bear. And one of the fans brought me a legitimate pair of Care Bears sunglasses, and all over the box and on the little frames and everything, my bears, my original bears. It's so it's such a great and touching moment when people say, I just want to take a second and talk to you about this thing you do. Other people do things that are similar. I love it when you do it. I love the way you do it. I love I love anticipating that you're going to do it. If we would ever just take that time to tell the people who do that thing they do, everybody's mood and attitude would automatically shift. Pivotry is inborn, innate in us, and we mirror and we improve on and we grow from the experiences we have with each other and bring back our memories and revive them and make them work now. We have all this stuff inside us that we forget about. And so today I wanted to talk about the idea of live and learn. Why do you why do you think they call it live and learn as opposed to, I don't know, phone it in and learn? And so give me a second and we'll get started. I read a study the other day that said coffee was bad for you. And I thought eventually somebody's going to tell me breathing is bad for me, and then we're all in trouble. Although I suppose in my case, speaking is bad for me would be a significant setback as well. So just have a quick sniff here. Okay. So live and learn. Well, what are you going to do? Live and learn. I have a client who has become a really good friend, a really dear friend. And the trajectory of her path was kind of phoenix rising from the ashes. And she had had a goal, had had a dream, and then got blindsided by a horrific accident from which she pretty much had to start all over again, figuring out how to do everything. And God bless her, she did it. God bless her for saying, I'm here, and give me a few weeks and I'll be walking here. And her goal was to follow through on her plans, on the path she'd set for herself. And every so often, as happens with everyone, not simply her, it happens with everyone. We get a little lost, maybe not. No, lost is too hard. We get a little defeated. We get tired. We probably push something that isn't quite ready, and we keep pushing it and it isn't ready, and we get blindsided by the fact that if it's not moving, it's because it's not ready, and we get anxious about the fact that I'm doing my best, why isn't it enough? And we stop thinking about the thing and the fact that it might not be ready. We forget that we need to take the 5 steps back in order to get a better look at what is in front of us. Because when you're way close, all you can see, instead of a tree or a forest, is the bark, and you have no idea what that is. As soon as you pull back and you say, "Oh, look," and it's difficult to remember to pull back when you're in the middle of pushing, and you don't realize that you're actually riding the wave, the high surfing wave of panic adrenaline, fight, flight, freeze, hide. It's panic, 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 panic. And as soon as you go panic, 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 you stop, think, think, because you can't be in 2 places at once. Survival in the extreme is about fleeing. or fighting. It's not about strategically reassessing. That brain, that live or die brain, doesn't do that. This more modern thinking brain does that. So, in the middle of many things going on, and boy, oh boy, there are many things going on these days. There's always many things going on. We have 24 hours in a day and we fill all of them every time. How does that happen? Because there's many things going on. What I mean by many things right now is that it's a very challenging time. And it's challenging for a couple of reasons. It's challenging because of a trigger mechanism that sent us down the path of challenge and the path of change ill-equipped. It is the outcome of us heading down that path ill-equipped that is causing behavior and extreme reactions that are creating a lot more stress and a lot more tension. So it's almost as though you could have a domino effect that was causing another domino effect. And you end up with the outcome that's a lot like a riptide. You know, when you see on a beach, you see waves and waves, or you see waves crossing each other, and you think that's really interesting. Yeah, no, it isn't. It's really dangerous. That's where you're going to get sucked back out and fighting a fight you didn't need to engage in. So I had the most extraordinary opportunity and challenge actually on Friday. I got to talk to a brilliant therapist. He's not my therapist. He's the husband of another brilliant therapist who was a client and is now a friend of mine. Can you imagine? I have two brilliant therapists who are clients of mine. They come to me. You just have to kind of savor that for a second. Anyway, we were talking about a brilliant program that he has created through, he's in the US, so his trajectory is Veterans Administration, the military, PTSD triggered by Vietnam in the first place, and because that's his kind of generation, and then everything immediately prior and since. And now through various universities and granting bodies, he's developing a program to give teachers, give HR people, give community solution modelers a simple, effortless, powerful resetting tool. And he said, I want to talk to you about it because we're not in Canada and we need to be in Canada. And you're in Canada. And I said to myself, oh, look, I know somebody who's in Canada. And even better, we love her. Let's chat. And we talked about his program. And I said, you know, Pivotry in Motion and everything I've been doing in my whole life, trajectory, if there is anything I can do to navigate this into Canada for you, with you, huge honor. So that's just a sidebar, but how you understand who he is. So we were talking about my project. He said, before we get started on mine, Abby, how's Pivotry going? And I said, I want to ask you a question. His name's Michael. Michael, I want to ask you a question because I am theory and you are theory and decades of practice. And I want to know if my theory that kind of hit me upside the head a few days past makes sense. And he said, oh, cool, fire away. So what I had said to him was this: in any situation in which we are really struggling and we go and get some help, we go and call a mental health professional, we go and see some kind of advisor that we trust, we talk to somebody wise, we talk to somebody with some background, right? And we say, it's not working. I don't know what's wrong, but something's not working. And it used to work. And it's not that long ago, and I don't know what it is. In many, many instances, the medical professional, the mental health professional, the advisor, the guide will ask us if we are familiar with an understanding that the five biggest, most lasting triggers for the kind of stress and trauma that can scar us, the five, all have something to do with a significant loss of something we felt was forever. A significant loss of that size feels like abandonment. It feels like we were left behind by somebody we believed in. And these five stressors are if we experience a death, someone close to us, someone we cared about, respected, knew, didn't think it was their time. The next one is serious illness. So we're not talking a cold or a broken leg. We're talking something very serious. And the sudden realization that this is going to change the way we live, because this illness is now going to take priority over a lot of other normal things. So we are no longer us. We are us with whatever is wrong. That's the second one. The third one is divorce. Now, that presupposes marriage. It doesn't have to. What it means is a breakdown, a loss of a relationship that we had built our lives around, something that we felt completed us and that we completed. And the one after that is job loss. So divorce is on the personal level, that we lose the relationship itself, and we lose our role in it and our identity because of it. And job loss is the same thing on the professional level. So we're a doctor, and now we can't practice. We're a firefighter, and now we can't fight fires. We're a soldier, and now we are retired. We are a legendary in sports, in politics, in changing the landscape in some significant way, and suddenly it's over, and it continues without us. Death, disease, divorce, job loss. And the fifth one is moving away from everything we knew. Whether it is deliberate, we chose it, or it is thrust upon us. My dad was in the military, we moved every 15 minutes, or there has been a natural disaster or a man-made disaster, and we must flee the place we knew and begin again. Those are the five ways in which every way we think and reason and plan and do is upended. And it can terrify us, it can traumatize us, it can make us feel that we are not good enough, that we have no role, we no longer belong in our tribe, we're no longer safe, we're no longer loved, we have no sanctuary, there is no rudder on our boat, we have no anchor, and we don't know how to navigate or steer, and the boat has no oars, we can't even row. That is how devastating these five stressors, these five experiences can be. And they have a lasting ripple effect. They don't just cure themselves immediately. After a divorce, after a death, after a disease, after a shift, the waves can come back. The memory can wash back over us. It takes a long time for us to get into the new frame of mind and figure out where to put this experience that we've had. Good morning, Charles. It's wonderful to see you whenever you show up. You know that. And what I'm talking about today, Charles, is this live and learn. Why is it live and learn? And I'm entering into the conversation by talking about this this incredible conversation I had with somebody very, very intelligent on Friday. And we were talking about the five big stressors. And I know that you and I have discussed this. And I know that Freddie, you and I have discussed this. So the big five that can trigger all kinds of difficulty coping The 5 top are death, serious illness, divorce, job loss, moving. Every one of those can make us feel as though we've been set adrift. And somehow we end up feeling that we have somehow caused that. It is our fault. That is not true. It doesn't matter. That's what we bring with it. So I was having this conversation with this very, very clever man, this professional. And I said, so those 5 stressors? And he said, yes. And I said, I want to ask you something. Is it remotely possible that the experience the world shared during the pandemic that we call COVID, is it remotely possible that that experience the entire world shared is actually the umbrella definition of the 5 stressors? Is it all of them? And he blinked at me. We were on a Zoom call. He blinked at me and he said, yes. And then he said, isn't that interesting? And I said, isn't it? And he said, well done, Addie. And I said, well, thank you, Michael. And he said, yes, that is very interesting. So this is what I want to say to you. I believe live and learn is when you are living, you are learning on the diet. Yes, 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 you're absolutely right, Charles. The entire world experienced 4 years of all 5 ultimate stressors, nonstop, night and day, day and night, for 4 years. Death, disease, divorce, job loss, moving. All of them. There is no confusion then why we are struggling to get our feet back under us. Because all of us struggle with any one of them. All of us can be so blindsided by any one of those 5 trauma stresses that it can alter the trajectory of our lives forever, even as we are working through it, even as we are getting our sense of perspective back. We can still have, when we're tired, when we're just tired, we can have one of those little relapses. For one of them, this is 5. For everybody, simultaneously, day and night, 24/7, for 4 years. It's going to affect everything a little and a lot. So it doesn't mean, okay, so now I know what it is, it can go away. It means now I know what it is, I can recognize it when I am paying attention, when I have the energy, when I give myself permission to breathe, when I say, this is not being the kind of day I want it to be. So I was talking with this client of mine, this lovely client of mine, and I said, I think we need to initiate something that I've been meaning to talk to you about. It's not coffee. So my client friend, my lovely client friend, I said, the later folder is something that we do on the fly. The later folder, we take out our later folder, and as we're going through every little shift in our day, at the end of each shift, I got ready for work. Cat had thrown up on my slipper. Cat had eaten enough of the bottom of my bathrobe that it threw up what it ate on my slipper. And that was before I put it on, which is a blessing. But I did have to clean that up, and now I'm 10 minutes behind everything. So before I got in the car, before I left the house, I pulled out my later folder and I wrote down and said, "That cat," with an exclamation mark. And then it's in the book and it's not in my head anymore. And I can leave it until later, until the day is over, and I can think about it then. I do not need to carry with me the frustration over, excuse me, that cat. Hang on just a second. I do not need to have that impact everything else I'm doing today. And I do not need to, I was dusting and cleaning a little earlier, so there's a bunch of stuff in the air. I do not need to have that cat impact the next thing. That's what the later folder is for. That's one thing. The thing I'm talking about today, and I want you to think about it and just give it a moment and say, I'm going to try that. That's what I want you to say to yourself and to me. It's called the 60-second self-rescue. 60-second self-rescue. Okay? Here's what you do. You literally take a minute. You don't go anywhere. You don't do anything. Wherever you are, you just stop. You just stop. You don't turn on music. You don't meditate. You don't get yourself in a good headspace. You don't do anything. The one thing you do before you take that minute is you say, this 60 seconds is for me. And you just close your eyes and breathe. That's it. Just 60 seconds. If an idea pops into your head, you say 60 seconds. And you just allow that to be. You don't have to go to any effort to empty your mind. You don't have to do anything else. If you have a squishy or you have something that you like to hug, fine. But do it right where you are. Don't give yourself another thing to have to do in order to qualify, in order to permit yourself. Just say 60-second self-rescue. This is for me. And do it. What happens is, it is a pause. It's a pause. It's not press the pause button. No. We are the pause. We pause. This is part of Pivotry. It's called a posit partner. Who is your posit partner? Whoever you tell it to. I'm going to take a moment. My 60-second self-rescue. I am today my own posit partner. I'll be right back. 60 seconds. Give me a minute. And then just, and what happens at the end of it is there's no carryover. It's not like you've forgotten everything. But you're in neutral. You're out of first, second, third, fourth, fifth, reverse. You're out of any of the gears you were in. You're in neutral, and you didn't sit there in neutral spinning your wheels. You just gave yourself permission, as if you've ever driven a vehicle with a manual gear transmission. You cannot go from one gear to another without going through neutral. The gears will not like it. The teeth of the gears will not like it. We do not give ourselves neutral. We just keep grinding the gears. So when something blindsides us, boof, and we realize it is now affecting every next thing we're doing, because we're not entirely present. We're focusing. We keep thinking about that. We keep thinking about that. Yeah, I got to clear my head. I got to stop thinking about that. Okay, but see, that's not how that works. How you stop thinking about something is that you think about something else. You replace a habit with a habit. So when something massive enough to derail you and distract you comes along, no time, no energy spent on it's all my fault. No, no. It happened. It's happening. 60 seconds. We don't have time. Yeah, we do. Because while my head is spinning, I can't think of a solution. And I need to have my head clear. So the 60-second self-rescue is a posit. I spell it PAWSIT because a lot of times when we need to have a posit moment, we sit down with our animal, even if it's a stuffed animal. That's our posit partner. But we do not even need that. We need to be our own posit partner. So when I talked to Michael on Friday about the astonishing connection that people hadn't made, and the whole thing fell into place. What COVID was for all of us was a tsunami of 5 converging waves simultaneously, 5 converging waves crashing down on all of us all at once. And the waves were so big that they just kept coming, and they never ebbed until finally the momentum began to fade and everything began to recede. But as you know, if there has been a storm, if you've ever been to a beach, if you've ever seen what happens after a storm, the wave action can leave a mess, and it takes a while to clean. So for us, looking at, exploring the opportunity, the possibility of Pivotry in motion as something we didn't know we knew how to do, something we didn't know we have the talent to do, an ability we have, we didn't even realize that there was a set of tools or techniques that we're automatically good at. And since we didn't know, we couldn't activate them. We can't call them up and use them on demand when we're in trouble. So we didn't realize that we can. We didn't know. And my purpose, partly in doing these videos with you twice a week, Tuesdays and Thursdays, Tuesdays and Thursdays, is to give you that, oh yeah, that's right. How about that? I do this. I am this. We are this. Huh. And that puts us all in a position of curiosity and readiness to practice on purpose, to understand the process so that we can own it and do it when we need it and want it and lean in with it instead of hoping it comes. Give us our power back. That's what this is for. So the idea that we have solved the puzzle, why COVID had such a lasting impact on us. I mean, we've been out of it. We've been out of the back end of it for a while. Why is it still impacting everything? Well, because boat goes by, ripple, ripple, ripple. The ripples take a while to subside. When their ripples are coming from 5 different directions, and they're huge. A little rowboat can leave a ripple. One of those massive cigarette boats going a gazillion miles an hour, those ripples take longer to get over. We are okay if we are still dealing with it. We are doing everything normal to deal with. What was that? The boat is still rocking. What we're standing on is still finding its center, its balance. We still aren't sure. We're getting there. And the reason we're not sure, and the reason it's confusing, and the reason it's exhausting is that everything changes. Change changes us. Once we know a new thing, we can't unknow the new thing. We can't go back to the moment before we had the aha, because the aha is part of us. And we have all shared the experience. And so, brilliantly, it brings us closer. There's a study done not long ago that said more than 1 in 25 people in the United States knows somebody who was or is in the military. More than 1 in 25. That means everywhere you go, every day, all the time, no matter how many people you're with, at least one of them is carrying the ripple effect of military life with them. And as they carry the ripple effect is contagious. We all understand to some level, to some extent, what it means to be close to, part of sacrifice, and the ripple effects of that, and the willingness to lean in no matter what. We all have experienced it, either immediately or right beside us. We all know what it is like to experience a tidal wave of some kind. We have all had a traumatic shift in our lives of some kind. I always used to say, if you've survived a trauma past the age of 5, you're a miracle. You're a unicorn. Everyone experiences some kind of trauma of loss. You know, when we go to kindergarten, preschool, we're told we have to leave the house. The house is our safe place. We live here. This is our cave. What do you mean I have to leave? Yes, you have to go and spend the day with strangers. Why? That's loss. My job is being here in the house, in the family. Well, you have a new job now. The new job is to go to school. Can I still be in the house? Yes, part-time. What? So there's a relationship loss, and there's a job loss, and there's a it's a moving loss. It's the death of something loss. It's all of them. So we have been through, all of us, every single one of us, we have experienced at least one, if not all of those 5 high stress abandonment experiences. We have all been there. And then we all went through COVID together. It's familiar. We just didn't see how familiar or why. Now that we see it, we say, oh. So instead of shaming, blaming, gaming, it was real, it wasn't, it's your fault, it's theirs. That's just a distraction. That's just a delaying tactic. That's stalling. Because the answer is inside. The answer is always inside. How do I feel? What is different? And once I give you the tools and the understanding about Pivotry, who do I need? Which part of me do I need to rely on right now to make this workable, to make this something that I can drive, ride, not something I need to hide? How do I do this? Because the sooner we focus on us, the sooner we figure it out. All that other stuff is something else for a later time that really does not change us other than delaying our recovery. So when I was talking with my client and I said, 60 seconds, 60 seconds for stress. It's a stress rescue. This is your pause it minute. All you do when something is just kind of overwhelming, give yourselves that minute. Give you that minute. Just give me a minute. I'll call you right back. And close your eyes. You can count if you like. You can set a thing on your watch. Or just do it until you feel, okay, we're good. And then open your eyes. And say to yourself, out loud if it's not crazy, thank you for doing that. Thank you for looking after us. Because it is always us looking after us. And I was talking to somebody else who said, I just have to get away. And I said, you know, the thing about getting away that people don't realize is that no matter where you go, you take you with you. You can't not, because how else do you get there? You are in you, and the person in you is the one who is asking the outside you to take you there. So if you're upset, you're going to be upset when you get there, because we didn't fix the upset part before we got in the car. Going away doesn't change anything except, oh, look, it's the ocean. Oh, look, it's a mountain. I'm still upset. The fixing starts within. Also, the blaming starts to be healed within. Also, the gratitude starts within. This other person I was talking to said, you know, I'm so glad I was rescued. No, you rescue you. People come to your aid. People hold out their hand and say, grab my hand. We have to choose rescue. Until we choose rescue, we're not giving them our hand. If we're unconscious and they rescue us and we wake up and we're not grateful, we won't stay rescued. You can't impose rescue on. Rescue comes from within. Every time we allow ourselves to be upset, every time we look at something and we get annoyed, that's our decision. That thing has no power over us. Walking down the street, seeing somebody do something and we feel upset, that is our reaction. That is our perception of what they are doing. We choose to be upset about that. We own the upset. Oh, he made me crazy. No, he didn't. No, he did something and you decided it was unacceptable. And I'm not talking about it wasn't unacceptable. I'm not saying, oh, you're wrong to judge. We're not talking about judging anybody. We're not talking about, are they doing right or wrong? We're not talking about man's humanity or inhumanity to man. This is just us. If something happens and we are triggered, we have chosen to be triggered. If somebody is doing something that we find offensive, we can respond immediately with an emotion, or we can look at it and we can say, I'm going to find a way to fix that. For me, I'm going to rescue me so I can rescue you. I can rescue you if you're willing. I cannot do anyone else's job. I can only do mine. What they do is what they do. What I do is what I do. If I look at that and I don't like it, then I am reacting to something I don't like. If if we don't like the job, if it is making us crazy, we have choices. We can find a way to make it acceptable. We can create change from within and see if that works. We can change ourselves in the way we respond to it. And we can quit and find something else. We can look at it and say, today is the day I now say no. Today is the day I find something else. Today is the day I choose me. Today is the day I choose change. Today is the day I find something different. Charles, you actually went through that a number of times. I remember your decisions about one job where it was just not acceptable anymore, and you went looking and you found it was not acceptable to be there. You had done everything you could. Freddie, you've gone through very similar things. It's not acceptable. It's not okay. I have to find my way over, under, around, or through. And you do. And kudos to you. Applause to you. Because it is way too easy. And so many people say, oh, well, I couldn't even begin. I don't even, and then all they do is fetch and carry. Complaining keeps them busy enough that they don't affect the change. Complaining gives them the adrenaline rush. If I change it, I won't have a reason to complain. I'll miss the adrenaline rush. So I'll stay in the thing that is complain worthy. How is any of this related to live and learn? You're thinking to yourself, you're saying, what is she doing? If we don't stop for a second and say, what am I doing? If we don't stop and say, how did that just happen? We're not living. We're not here. We're floating. We're on autopilot. We can't remember the last 6 things anybody said to us. We're walking around humming a song in our heads. We're not seeing or listening. Oh, I didn't see. Did you see the crash? What? No, we're right over there. Huh? No, I didn't. Survival of the fittest, survival in the jungle. Most animals didn't walk around whistling and playing Pokemon. Most animals in the Serengeti are not scrolling on their phones. Most. Some are. They have 2 legs. Most animals in the Serengeti that live to be a ripe old age pay attention because life is complicated. And if we're not here, and if we're not present, and we're not living, we're not learning. Once we understand our ability to experience something and remember what happened and how we responded, and we understand that we have filed that memory away, and we understand where that memory is stored, and this is the learning curve for Pivotry that I am guiding you to the doorway of. Once we know these things, we are no longer potential victims. We're volunteers. We are no longer reacting to things. We are profiling and preparing in advance for things. We are using pattern recognition and remembered response to be there ahead. There's a very famous quote that I have always liked from the first moment I read it. There was a famous strategy general. I don't even know if they may have made him a general. His name was Sun Tzu, 13th century China, and he was hired by the emperor to give him the strategic tools to win. And the book that was published is called The Art of War. So you can look it up. You can find it on Google. You can get a copy of it. It's very short. There's only 13 principles. The Art of War. Sun, S-U-N, Tzu, T-S-U, maybe E. No, T-S-U, Sun Tzu. And the principle that I enjoy the most is this: he who is first on the field of battle controls the enemy. That is the other way of saying preemptive strike. Read the room. Test the winds of change. I forget which character it was in which cartoon who said, watch and learn, boy, watch and learn. Watch and learn is one thing. It is see an expert, understand what and how and when and why. Live and learn, which is what we're talking about today, is do it. Don't assume that because you saw it and because they told you, you actually know how it works. Theory is the idea. Practice is the application.
Okay. I found this on the web.
Hang on a second here. Something just happened. Theory is the idea. Hang on a sec. I'm just going to put this in the other room. I don't know what that was. Theory is the idea. Practice is proof. Live and learn. It's very interesting. So today, I'm going to leave you with two things. One is, for you, for me, and for all of us, find 60 seconds. Find 60 seconds. And serve you. Support you. Rescue you. And let me know what happens. And you know about a habit, right? You have to do it more than once. You don't have to do it 1,000,000 times a day. At least once a day. And you know what? Let me know on Thursday. And let me know next Tuesday. I want to hear what happened that made you say, you know what, I need my pause it moment. I need my pause it moment. And let me know what happens. Okay? Alrighty then. Big day, lots to do, and I know you have as well. So I'm going to end by saying the thing I always say: be good to you. You deserve it. And remember to hug your loved ones, because they deserve it too. Thank you so much for watching. You make it, it sounds silly when I say it, maybe. The thing is, I mean it. You make this happen. It's not the same without you. Okay? I'll catch you next time.